And now, from North Platte High School Studio B, welcome to Bulldog Banter, where students, stakeholders, and alumni come together to traverse the transformative power of education. This week's episode is sponsored by the North Platte Public Schools Foundation and the Flower Market Gifts.
Hi, I'm Tucker.
I'm Will.
This is the Bulldog Banter.
We talk about stuff, talk to people about stuff, and give you the latest banter.
Bulldog style. Today we're with Brandon Meier from Husker Vision.
And alumni.
Yay! Hey guys, me and Reagan are also here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So you
guys,
actually already messed it up, so.
That was your fault.
Guys, I can't hear anything, so.
Oh.
You can hear us talking.
Brandon Meier.
Okay, sorry. Hello, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
I love your podcast setup.
Sweet.
you.
Thank you.
Do you want to start off by telling us about, like, you going to school at North Platte and what it was like?
What it was like, it was in the old high school. I'm a 1996 graduate. Gosh, I don't know. It was good. I probably wasn't as good of a student as I probably should have been. But it was enough to get me to the University of Nebraska and kind of onward and upward from there.
Yeah.
So you said you worked at the news station, or was that KNOP?
I worked at KNOP TV, yes.
So how was that like back?
It was a lot of fun. It was, I don't know where KNOP is located now, but it was, outside of town. And I started out cleaning toilets there and running our studio camera, and kind of worked my way up to running around with a camera and shooting sports and high school sports. And I had a blast. I met a lot of cool, great people out there that I still am connected with today. And it's sort of what laid the foundation for my career path.
So where did you go to school? At Lincoln for college?
Yep. I went to UNL I got my bachelor's in journalism and my master's in marketing there.
And then that led you into what you do now?
Yes. So as I was going to school, I worked in Husker Vision. It had just started in that department. And so I got to kind of learn this big screen production media world from the ground up, which was fun.
What would you say the hardest part of learning all that stuff was?
The hardest part of learning all of that, for me, it was writing, to be honest with you. The cinematography, photography came easy. The editing was a lot of fun. But like putting together a highlight video, like my first year was wrestling. I really struggled with script writing and how to work in the interviews. And if I look back at that 1996 Nebraska wrestling highlight video, it was probably terrible. And I remember my boss at the time critiquing me and telling me it was terrible. But you got to fail to get better.
Yeah.
So I know we already talked about this, but do you want to give us like an exact rundown of like how to get involved with Husker Vision? Yes,
how to get involved. First step is going to school at UNL. So once you're a student at UNL, I believe you can get involved in all kinds of things in athletics as a student, from communications to Husker Radio to Husker digital social media and Husker Vision. Normally they take applications in like March or April, but it doesn't hurt to email the right folks. Let's say February time period, and say, hey, I'm planning to attend UNL in the fall. Here's my reel. I'm passionate about production or podcasts or whatever it might be, and I'd love to get involved and to learn more. So,
yeah,
awesome.
So you said that you were like one of the first people to start Husker Vision. Have you seen Husker Vision like grow from the ground up, basically?
I have, yeah. Back when it started, there was like 3 full-time people. I think there were 13 students maybe the first year. And yes, I've seen it just grow and grow, and even branch off into things like social media production team and that sort of thing. Taking on more Big Ten Network, Big Ten Plus type events that they produce out of there. But today it's around 8 full-time people and about 50 students specifically in the Husker Vision unit. And they're just about to, in the fall, kind of expand their production capabilities, and they're building a new Husker Vision. So it's an exciting time for Nebraska, and long overdue. They were in the current space about 30 years, so excited to get them some new digs and get them the latest in technology.
So you've seen a lot of big changes and met a lot of people, and it's grown a lot since when you started there, obviously.
It has, yes. Even just, I was at the University of Oklahoma for 12 years and just watched sort of media and production explode to the point where it was hard to hire people. There wasn't enough, trained, capable folks in the workforce. We were trying to hire full-time people, and really at that point decided we need to invest in a student program in order to have enough folks that were there 2 to 3 years and could had been trained up and could go out and take those jobs. And recently I've seen even teams, specifically in college football, they will sort of have an embedded media individual that will go there and shoot a lot of stuff and produce a lot of content for recruiting and for YouTube and that sort of thing.
So you said that you were at the University of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that like? Was it different compared to Husker Vision to Oklahoma, or was it kind of like the same setup and everything?
A little bit different. When I got there, it was pretty grim, the facilities, and our athletic director let us invest. At the time, it was about $8 million into building out a centralized production facility where we were able to run baseball, softball, basketball, gymnastics, wrestling, volleyball, all from a centralized control room. And it was really that investment that created, they call it Sooner Vision. So, it really launched the department, and they started doing a lot of cool things.
Awesome.
So obviously media and big screens and stuff like that's really important in sports and athletics in schools and stuff. Why do you think that it's so important?
Why is it so important? It's an amazing tool, right? It's a great tool to help communicate to your fans, to help inspire them, to entertain them, to inform them. I go to so many sports venues and sometimes see wasted LEDs, and they're just not utilizing them to do what I just described. So no, I think it's an awesome tool. It makes no sense these are expensive tools as well, right? It makes no sense to invest a couple $100,000 in a video board if you guys aren't going to get the most out of it. So
yeah, no, it makes sense.
What's been your most rewarding project so far?
My most rewarding project, I would say recently, it was the Volleyball Day in Nebraska event that we put on at Nebraska. It was one where I got to lead a lot of elements of that, and our athletic director kind of came to me and said, "Hey, would you lead this?" And I said, "Well, what's our budget?" And he's like, "There is no budget. Just make this the best volleyball experience ever." So I was like, "Oh, this is going to be great, right?"
Yeah.
So that's where we got drones involved, and our team produced some amazing videos, and it was one of the most rewarding nights of my career. So my kids were there, my family was there. There were points of in the night where you were sort of just choked up, and I'm still amazed that we set a world record that night for the most attendance at a women's sporting event. And so there was just a lot of magical things that night, and the stars aligned, and the production was great, and everything we'd planned went off without a hitch. And so that's a special night for me for sure.
Yeah, no, that was definitely amazing. One of the coolest things I've definitely seen from.
Yeah, watching that.
How many were you? Was anybody there?
I didn't go, but my grandparents went, so I saw a lot of videos.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Tucker?
Well, I was just going to talk about, so we were talking before this, and you said that you planned out all the fireworks and, the light shows and everything. How much planning do you think goes into that whole process?
tons of planning. And again, it's like, I don't want to, it's not all me. Like I always tell people I try to steer the ship, and there's tons of other people that are rowing down there, and there's teams that help out. There's a pyro team, and there's a Husker Vision team, and there's a whole team working on the drones, and there's a couple guys at Husker Vision who do a lot of like research on music and what music to choose. But all of those elements kind of go into to a successful show, a successful production, and so again, I'm fortunate that sometimes I don't have to be the one anymore that's like hands-on editing each video. But I say, okay, here's what we're going to do, and here's how we're going to do this. And again, like I also get feedback from everyone. I'm not sitting up there saying, hey, this is this is what we're going to do. Like, everybody has experiences and has things that they've seen at different venues, and they may see a drone show somewhere or see something with fire, or sometimes there are just random crazy ideas that somebody says, why don't we put Herbie Husker on a motorcycle and drive it around and have him get off and wave a flag. And so all of those elements come together to make a really good show.
Yeah, definitely.
Are the athletes like most of the time really cooperative? Because that's a little bit of a problem we have here. The athletes don't like
Okay, but
cooperating
we're
with us a
dealing
little
with
bit.
like high schoolers, so I'm
Yes.
sure it's different.
I'm sure it is
but-
different too, and I'm sure they think it's really cool, but never
Yes,
know.
for the most part, our student athletes at Nebraska are really good. They understand, like, we're here. Our number one goal is like to tell their stories and to promote them. They're also really good at media. Media is really hard, right? Like when it's somebody sticking a microphone in your face after a loss, like those are difficult times. And but the higher level you get as a student athlete, the more you get used to doing media. At Nebraska, we have media availability every week. Like there are some players that they say, "Hey, I don't want to participate," and we respect that. And a lot of times you guys probably see the same couple players at the press conference each week. It's because those are the guys that are most comfortable and cooperative and don't mind doing it. But no, for the most part, like all of our student athletes are good. But that's also the advantage of sort of being embedded in with a team, is that they see those folks. Let's just take volleyball, for example. They understand, oh, here are my two folks that work with volleyball, and they've built a trust with them, and they understand that if they say something silly during a podcast, that they're probably they can trust that they can call her afterwards and say, hey, could you please edit that out? Like I didn't mean to say it that way, or didn't come off the right way. And so trust is a big thing as well, right?
Yeah.
You've got to build up a trust with your athletes in order for them to trust that you're not going to make them look silly.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you can imagine what it's like for us out on the football field trying to tell
Oh
40
my-
football boys what to do for a video.
trying to go into the locker room, they're like, why would we go in the locker room? And I'm like, you guys-
Sometimes it's a challenge, but we always get it done.
So my advice is rehearse, right? Before you get 40 of your football players out there, get 40 random students out there on a Sunday night and rehearse it, and then show them like, hey, this is what we're thinking. Like, how cool is this idea? Sometimes you've got to sell your creative ideas as well. But rehearse it, get people out there and first practice it. And then maybe you have some piece of media to show them and try to sell it a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like our teams are getting better about it, though. Like,
I just think it's a thing where, like, well, normally when we do it, like when we did our football video this year, it was after a JV game or a freshman game, and none of the varsity boys wanted to even come, obviously, because they didn't even have to do anything. And so none of them wanted to be there in the first place. So it's just a thing where, like, why, if they didn't want to be there, why would they want to help us, you know? So
Yeah. And you
But-
don't need the whole team sometimes,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
we figured that out the hard way.
Yeah, we like filmed the next night, and that was like the best film that we had too. Was
We did
just-
like 5 boys, and it
Yeah.
was so much easier.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that is a much easier. We figure that we've deal with the same thing on a poster shoots. We do a poster every year, right? And if you do a poster with the entire team, it's really hard to coordinate
Yeah.
that many people, that many coaches, and someone's sick or someone has class. But if you say, hey, we're just going to do a poster with these 8 to 10 guys, like your chances of success are much greater.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
So kind of switching gears from the football stuff, but like the whole crowd, how do you maintain that whole crowd? Like, how do you capture everybody's attention to the one big screen?
I think you got to realize like there's ebbs and flows. That was something really hard for my bosses along the way to understand. They always say like it's the fourth quarter, and we have it's the fourth quarter timeout in a college football game, and guess how long most of those timeouts are? 4 minutes long, right? So all folks just want to hear like the crowd screaming. Well, guess what? Crowd cannot scream for 4 minutes straight, right? So you got to kind of figure out how to maintain at what point to begin building them up, and then have your video or have your moment sort of crescendo right as the whistle blows and the team's going out there. In the NBA, we used to call it a hot timeout. Like, right, you've just come back from a 10-point deficit and you just hit a 3 and the place is going crazy. But sometimes it's really hard to maintain like that hot timeout, like hard to maintain, get the crowd going crazy through the TV timeout. So just kind of there's an art a little bit to some of that, but just to realize like at some points of the game you want to entertain them, at some points you want to inform them, and other points like you want to make sure that whatever you're going to play, whatever you're going to do on your video board or your music is going to get them out of their seats and get them cheering for your team.
Yeah.
Sure.
Good question. By the way, I love the Bulldog out front.
Oh yeah, that was new.
That's brand new.
That's
It
really
was the
cool.
senior class last year. That was like the thing that they left behind.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know what we're gonna do for our senior thing. How are we supposed to top?
How do you top the Bulldog out there?
Yeah, I don't
The
know.
bronze Bulldog. I love it.
I'll probably put a statue of my face out there.
Yeah, sure.
Just kidding.
Have I mentioned that my brother was the mascot?
Really?
Yes.
Seriously?
We
My brother
struggle to
Logan.
find a mascot.
We don't even have.
Nobody
We haven't had a
wants to be
mascot for
the
like 10 years.
mascot.
Okay, because it's
He was the
it's
best.
kind of hot in there.
It is sort
and
of
it's
hot in there.
stinky. But it's hard to find people who actually want to do it.
I don't mind being Little Red.
Yeah.
I like because there's a fan going, and but yeah, getting in the actual Herbie mascot suit is a lot.
Yeah.
You've been Little Red before?
I have been Little Red. Yes,
Did you
Alright,
do
well,
like
a few
Tell us.
birthday parties, fill in things where I would need to do that. So
Yeah, don't they get like professional mascots for like actual Husker games?
we
or-
do, yes,
yeah.
for sure. There's no way. This was only like an emergency fill in.
So you didn't do any like,
as duties
flips?
is assigned. So I have not done a game. No.
Yeah, you said
So-
you were a Little Red. I thought you were dancing around.
Yeah, I
on
did
a
too. I
Husker
was-
game for a second.
No.
That's you?
No, we have mascot students that try out and they do great things. Like they can actually like flip inside the inside the
Oh,
suit,
yeah.
do
I
some
like it.
crazy things. There's no way I can do that.
What was it? The Wisconsin
I'm
game
more of
where
like if you're
someone-
gonna do a rest home visit and you need a Little Red, like I can get in the door and walk in, and that's about it.
Yeah. Wasn't it the Wisconsin game that someone like turned upside down in
Oh yeah.
the mascot in the suit
And the suit
and was
yeah.
like walking around and stuff, and everyone was freaking out because they thought he was walking on his hands everywhere or something.
Yes.
That was funny. I was there. That was funny.
You have to put your
Yeah,
head
you
in
just
front of
say
the
that like
mic if
5
you're gonna
times,
talk.
Maddie.
Sorry, guys. I have a lot to focus on over here.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
So you've told us a lot about like Husker Vision and stuff like that. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about like you as a person and like your family and stuff?
I would love to. Yes. My mom still lives in North Platte. She works at the hospital. So I can't wait to take her to lunch today for her birthday. I have two brothers that were also North Platte High grads, Logan and Austin. I have a son at Lincoln Southwest who's a freshman, and a daughter who's in 5th grade. So they love sports. They love Nebraska, and so super. Although I've been back like for 7 years, I'm just happy to be back in Nebraska, closer to family, and watch my kids, play high school sports and grow up here. So.
Yeah. That's very, very cool.
Do they love having like a little in with you to like the games and stuff?
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Do you take them to all the cool stuff?
Yes, too much sometimes. So they're like, Dad, what can we go on the field? Can we do this? Can we do that? So there's a fine line sometimes to say no. After the game, we can go down there and take a picture. And
Yeah.
so
No, that's definitely amazing. I'm jealous. I wish I could do that.
Read it in.
Yeah. So was it just being like running all that? Is it crazy? Because are you on the field? Or are you like up in those boxes? Like, how do you run that from? How do you run the board from?
most of the time, I'm in the 6th floor of the press box. I like to be there during our pregame, and then after the tunnel walk is over, I kind of make a couple trips around the concourse to check some sound and TVs, and then I'll go down to the field. We started this thing where a tractor pulls around a giant T-shirt cannon around the field, so that one scares me a bit. So I always like to go down there and make sure it doesn't run over the opposing team's huddle, or so that there's a little liability there. So I like to be on the field for that, and then I'll go back up to the press box at halftime. So
do like most of the students get to run that, or
the T-shirt.
no, like the board and everything like that?
Yeah, we have students do the majority of it. Yeah, there's some full-time folks that are there that are providing technical support, helping students get it all set up. But no, for the most part, you would be amazed that students are punching buttons, they're running replays, they're running cameras, they're running our clip server. And for the most part, they do an awesome job. Now, I would say at football, there's probably more full-time people running things, but at some of our other sports, you're going to find a lot of students in there punching the buttons and, more importantly, creating the content that gets played out. So,
Awesome.
All right. To wrap it up, what advice do you have for students that are wanting to go into this like area?
get involved. No question. Get involved. Get involved early. Just use your time to invest in what you're passionate about. If this is what you're passionate about, get involved. Go to Nebraska, and really fight hard to get involved somehow. Get involved in athletics. Get involved in. There's other areas of focus. If you're like, hey, I want to do film, like go out, do some internships. I did an internship for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays at the time. The Major League Baseball team was a great experience all summer. It also kind of told me like, baseball may not be what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like these were really long homestands. And so I found out like, hey, that wasn't my passion. But I loved college athletics. I love college football and basketball. And so that sort of led me down this path. But I would say that's advice for whatever you're doing. If you want to be a lawyer, go do some internships at a local law office. If you want to be, if you want to get into forestry, go do some, figure out what that is. Go do some job shadowing, and really get involved early on, and then that can really help lead your path a little bit. I tell people all the time, like the big advantage I had over kids that I graduated in college with was that I already had a job here locally at KNOP, and I'd already worked in Husker Vision, and I sort of knew where I wanted to take my career path versus some of the folks that we graduated college and were like, okay, now what do I do? Like I knew exactly where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. I didn't know the path I'd have to take to get it, but I knew that this was something I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
thank
coming.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
And if you want to get involved, go to Mr. Willie's room and help us.
Come be a part of Bulldog Productions.
Yes.
Come host a
2:38.
podcast. Thanks so much.
All right, yeah. Thank you.
Bye bye, Bulldog Banter.
Bye.
Thank you, Foundation.